two things happened in today's race. Shane Van Gisbergen won another road course, and 4 drivers got eliminated at the Roval. And we're all getting sick and tired of hearing the first one, let me tell you. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin NASCAR. I am your host, Andrew. If you didn't see it earlier today, I posted a news episode around lunchtime, just about an hour before the drop of the green flag, so go check that out if you haven't missed it. But this will be the second time I am talking to you guys today, or at least posted an episode on this show today. But this time I'm going to be doing a race recap of the Bank of America Roval 400 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway road course, or the Charlotte Roval, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to be recapping that for you guys here today, and I'm going to do that right now, I guess, because I already did several things today in this show. So let's go ahead and just get it started right from the beginning. Tyler Reddick leads the way, won the pole yesterday, even though he is battling some things off the track that I will talk about a little bit later. It doesn't feel very appropriate to talk about right now. But Tyler Reddick leads the way after beating Shane Van Gisbergen on the pole. And we get some action early on. Kyle Busch ends up getting spun from 28th in turn 8 and has some heavy right side contact with the wall and ends up having to go back into the garage just a lap later. He finishes the race multiple laps down, but yeah, Kyle Busch, just not been the season he's been wanting to have, and we never really got to see of what Andy Street could do on top of that pit box, because Andy Street, obviously, his first week behind Kyle Busch in Kyle Busch's ear on top of the pit box after RCR announced that he would be moving up into that role, while Randall Burnett, who is obviously moving over to Trackhouse next season, to crew chief Connor Zilich, and that 99 car was taken away from those duties, having those duties relieved from him. He is still remaining with the team in a competition role, as we are sort of believed. I don't know what capacity necessarily, but Andy Street was on the pit box this week, and we just never really got to see what Andy Street could call for a race. So we're going to have to wait until next week at Las Vegas to see how that 8 team will really do next week. But getting back to the front and Tyler Reddick, he was able to hold off Shane Van Gisbergen for about 4 laps, and then SVG passed him in turn 12 and took the lead in turn 16. That was swiftly followed by Austin Cindric, a series of events for Austin Cindric. On lap 9, he missed the backstretch chicane in 17th and had to serve a stop-and-go penalty and fell all the way down to 23rd. And then just 1 lap later, he spun in turn 3 after contact with Justin Haley, and he just continued to fall down the order. And a day that Cindric needed to win was not already off to a good start. And trust me, it would get a lot worse for Austin Cindric. We would get a first cycle of green flag pit stops in stage 1. And I want to remind you, everyone here, that Goodyear is bringing a different tire to this year for the road courses. It's the same tire that has been run at all road courses. So Circuit of the Americas, Sonoma, some other road courses as well, Mexico City. This is the same tire that has been run at all of the road courses. But I will say tire wear was a big factor for today's race, because most of these drivers could run about 30-35 laps on a fuel run, but they could only run half of that on tires pretty much. Like, I think the max that the tires ran was Ross Chastain at the end, and he ran like 20 plus laps, and we saw how that ended. We'll get to that very, very shortly. So drivers about 16 or 15 laps in were already starting to pit for tires. And that would be a common theme throughout the rest of the race. Teams pitting early in stages to get those tires, and sometimes running it long was not the right move. And pitting for tires early was the way that you would gain track position. And we would have some guys deciding to flip the stage, running it long, like Chris Buescher, and also like Tyler Reddick, Blaney, Suarez, Bowman, Cole Custer. Tyler Reddick's teammate Bubba Wallace also chose to flip the stage. Same with Austin Cindric, some guys that were below the cut line who did need a win, so they were setting themselves up for a little bit later on in the race. But SVG would cycle out to the race lead and would take stage 1, followed by Kyle Larson, who would clinch himself into the playoffs with these 9 stage points that we would gain. Ty Gibbs as well would get 8 stage points. Christopher Bell as well would finish in 4th. Ross Chastain, who desperately needs some stage points heading into this day, is very closely out of the of the playoffs, I would say, out of the round of 8. The last driver out finished in 5th. Michael McDowell in the Spire 71 finished in 6th. Chase Briscoe, who came into this race feeling a little bit ill in the stomach, ends up getting 7th. Chase Elliott finishes in 8th. William Byron in 9th. And Ty Dillon actually got the last stage point. Hamlin and Logano, 2 playoff drivers, just finished outside the top 10. Blaney and as well Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, and as well Austin Cindric all finished outside the top 10 for stage points. And on the following yellow flag cycle under caution, Ross Chastain would end up coming out of the pit lane 7th off pit road, but he would fall from 15th to 30th because he missed the exit and he completely missed the turn off of pit road because at the Charlotte Roval, it's a very tight turn off of pit road to rejoin the racetrack. And Ross Chastain just completely missed it, man. Like, he completely misjudged the corner, was going way too fast, and that'll be one of 2 crucial pit stop errors made by Ross Chastain and team that would probably be the deciding factors in today's race and how he would continue on in the playoffs along with his championship and playoff rival Joey Logano. Then on lap 31, we would get a restart to start stage 2 under green flag conditions. But only 2 laps later, Carson Hocevar on lap 33 locked it up heading into the final chicane in turn 16 and completely wrecked Austin Cindric, breaking the right rear toe link on Cindric's car, who was running in 21st. So a bad day gone to worst for Austin Cindric, and there was no way at this point that he could completely rally his way back. He had to go to the garage, fix that toe link. There's just nothing that Austin Cindric could do. Hocevar, from what I could see, just misjudged the corner entry, locked it up. Car would not slow down. Car wouldn't turn, so he just completely plowed into the back and the right rear of Austin Cindric, again, destroying that right rear toe link. I mean, it was a pretty clean break in the right rear toe link for Austin Cindric. Not what he needed at all. And only about 6 laps later, from the restart of stage 2, we would have some drivers starting to pit, mostly the guys that decided to flip the stage at the end, like Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, who had moved up to 2nd place on that green flag cycle, and who had decided to stay out on that caution after the stage. He had pitted from 2nd, Chase Elliott, Bubba Wallace as well, Logano pitted as well, swiftly followed by Chris Buescher, Todd Gilliland, Alex Bowman, as Buescher and Allmendinger would battle out for the lead, I would say. And around lap 46, all the drivers that decided to pit at the end of the stage all decided to make their pit stop. Lap 47 was when the majority of the guys came back down pit road, including Zane Smith, who actually pitted on the first cycle of pit stops. So it was very interesting to say the least. But Shane Van Gisbergen pit from the lead on lap 48, and Ryan Blaney would actually win stage 2, followed by Tyler Reddick. Chase Elliott moved himself up into 3rd place. Ross Chastain, who really needed some stage points again, finished in 4th. Shane Van Gisbergen would end up in 5th. Larson in 6th. Bell in 7th. Joey Logano, who did not get stage points in stage 1, got some stage points in stage 2 by finishing in 8th. Daniel Suarez in 9th. And Cole Custer ends up getting some stage points in 10th. And then Ty Dillon finished in 11th as well. So a pretty good day for Ty Dillon and Cole Custer, I must say. And actually, Christopher Bell, who got some stage points there, would actually point his way into the round of 8 after getting those stage points in stage 2. And as stage 2 got underway with Shane Van Gisbergen leading the way from the outside with Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson swiftly on his back bumper, this would be the longest green flag run. 52 laps from lap 56 from the restart, or at least the restart, to lap 107, which is 53 laps. Once again, 52. I said 52. I meant 52 laps, guys. 52 laps, the longest green flag run of the race. It should have been, at least, until lap 58 when Austin Dillon crashed into turn 5 after having some contact with Zane Smith, ended up wrecking into the tire barrier, some big damage to that 3 car. Again, and I guess the broadcast guys, Jeff Burton, said it out there that the tire barriers in that little area, that turn 5, it's very good for when you hit it head on. It's a very soft impact, but when you hit it broadside on the side door, that can be extremely devastating. I point to the Indianapolis road course in 2022 where, was it 2022 or is it 2021? I think it might have been 2021. But either way, everyone was just flying off that chicane at the Indy road course. One of the bumps in that chicane were just extremely dangerous, sending cars way off into the grass, into the tire barrier, and when they hit it sideways, it completely destroyed their race cars and destroyed the tire barrier. And Justin Haley as well will attest to that when he was driving for Calling in 2023. He got shoved out of that chicane, flew through the grass, and hit that tire barrier on the side door and completely ripped the side of that car open. It was just a terrible impact. So those tire barriers, when you hit them head on, they're pretty soft, but when you hit them on the side, they can be devastating to say the least. We would get back racing only a couple laps later, and Kyle Larson would actually clear Shane Van Gisbergen for the lead on lap 63, and Chris Roval had made it side by side with Shane Van Gisbergen for second. A couple laps later, Riley Herbst would get spun from 30th, on lap 65, and one of many green flag cycles would kick off just shortly after Riley Herbst got spun. And we would see three different strategies between the three leaders. SVG, Kyle Larson, and Chris Roval were all on three different pit strategies, which I haven't seen very much of in my time of watching NASCAR, which has been brief. It's only been 3 seasons now, but I haven't seen a lot of that where you have varying pit strategies among the three leaders, three different pit strategies, which is I've never seen before. And after this first green flag pit cycle, Kyle Larson actually cycled out in front of Christopher Bell and Shane Van Gisbergen, but SVG would prove on this long run that he probably had the best long run car as he was able to pass Christopher Bell, and a pretty short while later, he was actually able to pass Kyle Larson after the next green flag pit stop cycle. Actually, on lap 87, he would pass Kyle Larson in turn 7. And on that same lap, Shane Van Gisbergen's teammate Ross Chastain, who had done everything right except missed the turn in the pit road cycle in stage 1, had done everything right and was in a prime position to advance into the round of 8, made a mistake on pit road, shifted up into the wrong gear apparently after exiting his pit box, and was speeding on pit road and had to serve a pass-through penalty. And that would be one of the main deciders and main big impacts and events that would determine Ross Chastain's playoff future. And a couple laps later, Shane Van Gisbergen would pit from the lead on lap 92 and nearly hit Austin Dillon after entering his pit box, and actually lost a second in time on pit road and fell behind Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson. But on lap 96, he had run down and passed Christopher Bell for second and was only 1 second behind Kyle Larson, and was able to get past Kyle Larson as well, battling hard racing between those two in the chicanes, bumper to bumpers, just slamming doors. Larson, who is on a 19-race winless streak, has not won for a little while, a little over, I would say, 2 months. It's been a while for Kyle Larson, while SVG has got 5 road course wins this season. After today, he would have 5, but he would have 4 road course races during this race, I would say. And this would be a really good battle. I mean, Kyle Larson and Shane Van Gisbergen exchanging contact, side-by-side racing through the turns. Kyle Larson giving up positions but would come right back. SVG would do the same thing. It was incredible racing, which you don't see very much at the Charlotte Roval, and we haven't seen very much throughout its history. But Larson would make his final pit stop on lap 101, about 6 laps before the end of the race, and would actually cycle out behind Christopher Bell and Chris Buescher, and would end up getting past Buescher for third. But SVG would just continue to lead and dominate and end up winning this race by 16 seconds over Christopher Bell, I should say. But in the mid-pack was where all the entertainment was. I'll set the picture for you. So you have Ross Chastain and Joey Logano battling for the final spot in the round of 8. Joey Logano comes down pit road to get new, fresh tires, and I believe it was on lap 99 he pit from 14th, which was a position where he was in the round of 8. He had the points advantage on Ross Chastain, but Paul Wolfe brought him down pit road, the master strategist he is, to get 4 fresh Goodyear tires and allowed Chastain to get an advantage on Joey Logano. And this would be pivotal because Ross Chastain on older tires would stay out the entire race. He would not come down pit road to get a new set of tires, while Joey Logano was able to move his way forward, and Ross Chastain, who cycled out behind Joey Logano, and after Logano had pitted, Ross Chastain was still leading, and before Joey Logano came down pit road. Sorry, guys, I'm a little bit of a mess here. Chastain passed Joey Logano, and then Logano came down pit road. So Chastain had to clear Logano by 4 positions if he wanted to make his way into the round of 12. And as the race went on, Chastain's car just continued to fade. He had no grip in his tires left, and eventually on the final lap, while battling for Denny Hamlin, who he could not give up a position to, slid the tires into the big hairpin, I would say, and he and just lost that position to Denny Hamlin. Had no grip in the tires whatsoever. Overdrove the corner. Did not have enough grip to get back at Denny Hamlin until Ross Chastain sent it into the final chicane at the start finish line and just dive bombed it under Denny Hamlin, spun them both out, and that allowed Logano to just pull up alongside Chastain, and Chastain in reverse just completely floored it across the start finish line. But Logano had passed him, and Chastain would end up finishing the race now 4 points, or actually 5 points, excuse me, below the cut line, and Logano makes it into the round of 8. That was where the real entertainment was in those closing laps, because Shane Van Gisbergen had a 15-second lead on the entire field, on Christopher Bell, I would say. Like, we had to wait a full minute pretty much, like, almost like it felt like 5 minutes pretty much that we were watching Chastain and Logano trying to get as much positions as they can. It was Chastain trying to hold on to positions over Denny Hamlin in the 11 and Todd Gilliland in the 34, while Joey Logano was trying to get past Bubba Wallace for another position to come even with Ross Chastain. And the 1 and the 22 were tied. If either one of them lost a position or gained a position, they would be tied, but Logano would have the tiebreaker on Chastain. So Ross Chastain just needed to hold on to a position, so that's why he dove it up the inside of Hamlin. A vintage move by Ross Chastain, if you will. But now let's go ahead and move on and look at the finishing results. Shane Van Gisbergen, now his 5th consecutive road course victory, only second most to Jeff Gordon, who has 6. And if I'm right, there is no more road courses this season, so Shane Van Gisbergen will have to wait until Circuit of the Americas next season, I believe, to tie Jeff Gordon, I believe. But SVG led the most laps, started on the front row. It was pretty much Tyler Reddick led the first 4 laps, and then SVG said, okay, fun time's over for you, Reddick. I'm just going to take this lead right here. Kyle Larson ends up in second, led the second most laps, 27 laps to be exact. For a little while, it did look like Kyle Larson was one of the best cars out on track besides SVG and Christopher Bell, who ends up in 3rd place as well. But there's nothing Kyle Larson can do. SVG just so good on road courses, so good at saving his tires and just running on the long run, which was kind of contrary to what happened at Circuit of the Americas, where we had this same tire and the tire wear was pretty similar, I would say. I guess SVG figured out the one thing wrong with this road course game, and he was able to dominate once again. And this is a track where SVG has not run on in the Cup Series. This was a track where maybe some of the Cup guys, like Larson, who's the defending winner, like Christopher Bell, who won this in 2022, to advance into the round of 8, should be able to dominate pretty well and maybe contend with SVG. And they did for a little bit. Like, Larson and Bell were able on the short run to compete with SVG, but there was just no stopping SVG at all on this racetrack and in this race. And I think going forward, it's going to be who can dethrone Shane Van Gisbergen on the road courses. Connor Zilic might be the only one that can save us, if you know what I mean. But taking a look at the rest of the top 10 here, Chris Buescher ends up in 4th, and his teammate Ryan Preece actually finishes in 6th after starting in 29th. Both had pretty quiet days. I mean, Buescher is a very good road course racer, qualified in 5th, ran up inside the top 10 pretty much all day, actually led a couple laps here towards the end of the race, or actually in the middle part of the race. How about Michael McDowell in the Spire number 71? Qualified in 6th, so a very good qualifying effort for that Spire team, but ran up inside the top 10 pretty much all day, got some stage points as well. A very good day for Michael McDowell. A very quiet day, but a quiet top 5 finish, I would say. Same for Ryan Preece, who finished in 6th. Another one is Daniel Suarez, who qualified in 20th and finished in 7th. All 3 Trackhouse cars ran very, very well today. I mean, SVG went on to win the race. Suarez this week, I mean, finished in 7th. Very good race for him. He's a pretty good road course racer that we know. And then Ross Chastain, before spinning himself out and finishing in 21st, still ended up having a pretty good day as well. Got some stage points as well. Chase Elliott, last week's race winner, gets another top 10 finish after starting in 15th. Just kind of a quiet day overall for Chase Elliott, but still another top 10. A very good result for him heading into Vegas next week. AJ Allmendinger finishes in ninth. I didn't see any videos of it. I probably have to go back and watch the race and maybe the post race coverage, but apparently AJ Allmendinger finished this race crossing the finish line in reverse, similar to Chastain, but he ends up in ninth. Tyler Reddick, who started on pole, just came up just short. Didn't do enough to get that win. He needed to win at the Roval today to advance into the round of 8. Just did not have it. And my prediction for both 2311 racing cars to be in the round of 8 and Chase Elliott being out, yeah, that prediction didn't go very good. So Reddick in 10th, though, he ran the fastest lap. So he might have been the best car. He just didn't have the track position to really contend for the victory. William Byron in 11th, kind of a quiet day overall. Didn't have a lot going for him overall. Qualified 13th, just kind of a quiet day overall. Ty Gibbs qualified third, kind of a disappointing day. If he qualified third, I would expect that he would be higher up in the finishing order, but I guess not. So Ty Gibbs in 12th. Ryan Blaney, another quiet day as well. Led some laps, but he actually did win a stage, though, so I can't say this was a quiet day for Ryan Blaney. He still won a stage, so I got to give that to Ryan Blaney. And Chase Briscoe did enough to advance into the round of 8, even though he was not feeling as good as he hoped. And Chase Briscoe ends up in 14th, and Bubba Wallace as well didn't do enough to get into the round of 8 as well. Finished in 15th. Just needed to do more, but Bubba, not historically a great road course racer. It looked like that momentum that he had in the first 2 rounds kind of have fizzled out, and now he finds himself out of the playoffs. We already know where Chastain finished. He ends up in 21st, and Logano in 20th. Denny Hamlin ended up in 23rd after qualifying in 14th. Hamlin, not a very good road course racer, so thankfully there are no more road courses left for Hamlin to run in the rest of the playoffs, so hopefully he can contend the rest of the way. Carson Noswar ends up in 29th after his run-in with Austin Cindric as well, and Cindric ends up the last driver in 37th. He didn't even finish ahead of Brad Keselowski, who towards the end of the race actually had an engine failure, I believe. It was I think it was a engine or transmission issue that he ended up having to pull off the track. Like I think it was down the back straightaway. He ended like pulling through a gap in the wall and pulled to the infield out of the race. Didn't bring out a caution, which is a good thing, but Keselowski like still finished ahead of Cindric, which is wild for me to think about. Real quick, I want to talk about Tyler Reddick for one more moment. Obviously, he came to this weekend with a lot on his mind. First, I mean, his son, Rookie, his 5-year-old son, may be having surgery soon on a tumor in his chest that is causing him some heart failure, which is just, I can't imagine as a parent, like, what is going through your mind when your 5-year-old son is just going through that he's struggling to breathe, he's in the hospital, and he might have to get surgery to remove it. Like, that's scary enough. And then for Reddick in this situation, he has to go race and fight for a playoff spot, and he wins the pole, and he still has his son in the hospital. Like, that's in the back of his mind. He runs the fastest lap of the race. It's just all impressive of what Reddick is doing. I know he didn't win. I know he didn't advance, but being that all he did, it's just so very impressive for him to do. Like, I look at what Hamlin did earlier this year with his wife being in labor past her due date, due any moment, and Hamlin was still able to come out and win. Like, that's impressive on its own. But when you have your son or daughter in the hospital, like having a very extreme illness and very extreme and dire need of treatment, like I can't imagine what Reddick must have been going through, like what he must have been feeling. And I think it would have been extremely poetic if he would have come away with this win to advance into the round of 8. But sadly, we didn't get that ending. But I feel for Tyler Reddick, and I'm just so impressed with what he's done this year, and specifically in this race. Like this race, like just outweighs all the inconsistency he's had in the second half of the year. So I just got a quick mention Tyler Reddick once again. Thoughts and prayers are with him and his entire family. Hope his son Rookie gets better quickly. Hope that surgery, if he does need it, goes well. We'll get more news on it pretty soon, I believe. But his wife shared some stuff on I believe it was on Instagram about his condition, saying that surgery is likely. So I just, again, I'm just so impressed with Tyler Reddick. Again, thoughts and prayers with it. I'm just at a loss for words at what Reddick did today. But with that all being said, let's move on to take a look at the current playoff picture. The 4 drivers eliminated today were obviously Ross Chastain, both twin 311 racing cars of Bubba Wallace, and Tyler Reddick and Austin Cindric as well. Looking forward into the round of 8 beginning next weekend at Las Vegas. The 4 drivers above the cut line are Denny Hamlin, who is +8 above the cut line, Ryan Blaney, who's +6 above, Kyle Larson, who's +4, and William Byron as well is +4. Even though Byron has not had a very good kind of end to the regular season, all that regular season and playoff points that he's received, that's the benefit of this. He still gets to start above the cut line. The first driver out is Christopher Bell, who's 4 points out of the championship 4. Chase Elliott is the next driver out by 14, along with Chase Briscoe, and Joey Logano is in the last position out by 24 points. He has some work to do, and he's got to get it right on at Las Vegas. And Logano is the defending winner, so we got to keep that in the back of our heads. And Bell is very good at all these tracks, I would say, except maybe except Talladega, but Martinsville, and that's a track to watch out for. So there's a look at your playoff picture heading into Las Vegas next week after the Charlotte Roval. 4 will be eliminated after Martinsville in a couple weeks. So this round of 8 should be very interesting because it's so close. No one's really broken away. This is going to be a very exciting round of 8 to see. Now let's go ahead and move on to the final segment of today's show, my race review rating recap. I don't know what you want to call it, the triple R, as I like to call it. The Bank of America Roval 400 from Charlotte Motor Speedway. I did not have high expectations heading into this race. A road course that has historically not produced amazing racing, not very good side-by-side battles, blew me away, to say the least. The racing product was unbelievable, kind of being mired by Shane Van Gisbergen dominating once again, so we can automatically take a couple points off that if I'm grading this out of a 100% scale and I'm giving it letter grades in this case. But the race product was just amazing overall. The tires fell off like crazy. It created marbles once again, kind of in a different way. I mean, that played a big effect. Like Shane Van Gisbergen ran up into the marbles, and that kind of set him behind for a couple laps, but it didn't really put him at a disadvantage because he was able to pass both Larson and Bell very, very quickly. There was side-by-side racing, tire fall off, multiple pit stops. Fuel wasn't a big factor because you could easily run so many laps on a tire run. Like, fuel was not a concern at all, and no overtime. That's always a plus here. And one final thing for the playoff format, one last hurrah. I think this is where NASCAR wanted the playoff format to go because you had 2 drivers, Chastain and Logano, both fighting for a playoff spot, creating a intense battle mid-pack. I think this is what NASCAR and everyone wants to see the playoff format be. And I think we have got the kind of the right recipe because no one has really broken away. There's been enough parity this season to where you have Chastain and Logano both fighting for a spot in the round of 8, and Chastain doing borderline crazy things on that final lap, trying to hold on with older tires. Logano pitting with only a couple laps to go to get new tires and working his way back forward to create the gap and make a tie pretty much and close that gap back down. That's what the playoff format is probably supposed to be. It's just the problem is the playoff format can't do that enough. But with that all being said, I'm going to give the Bank of America Roval 400 an 88% for Shane Van Gisbergen's 88 car. The only bad thing about this race is that Shane Van Gisbergen dominated once again. It kind of creates a boring environment, and we all expect Shane Van Gisbergen to dominate, and that pretty much what was today's race, pretty much. And again, going forward for every single road course race, all the headlines and the advertising is going to be who can defeat Shane Van Gisbergen on the road courses. And again, Connor Zilic, please save us. All right, but there you go. 88% on my race review recap rating, whatever you want to call it, the triple R scale. I'm going to call it the triple R scale. I'm going to call it the triple R scale. That's what I'm going to do it. I've called it so many things. It's the triple R scale. There you go. That's going to do it for this episode, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you enjoyed the Bank of America 400 from Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Charlotte Roval. It's going to be back on the schedule next year. We'll see if it can put on just as good of a race. If you did enjoy today's race, please consider, if you're listening on YouTube, giving a like for this episode and subscribing to the channel. And if you're listening on any other podcast platforms, please consider giving us a follow if you're new here. I make NASCAR content, or talk about NASCAR pretty much a lot during the week. I mean, I probably post on average like 3 episodes a week. Race recaps, news, all that good stuff. You can come right here and go check out other NASCAR shows. Like, I encourage that. You don't have to always come to me. You can go check out other NASCAR shows. I encourage you to branch out. If you're a listener here and you want to go listen to other shows, you're bored of me, go check out other shows. And as well, go check out Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew, the other show I co-host with my buddy Miles. We just released an episode earlier today talking about week 4 of the NFL and among other things. So go check that one out too. It's going to be on Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And same for YouTube. It'll be just in the same channel area. You'll find it there pretty easily. I trust you guys. But that's going to do it for me. I will see you very, very soon, probably in a couple of days, or probably tomorrow for some other episodes. But until then, I will see you very, very soon. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hope you enjoy the start to your week. And I will see you in the next episode, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.